All right, hey everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host, Tone Vays. Coming to you live from Salt Lake City, Utah. I haven't actually told people why I am in Salt Lake City. So in about a few hours, or like in an hour, I'm going to a lunch event for a retiring Fed chairman or vice Fed chairman. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I got a special invite. So let's see who I can talk to over there. I have no idea which Fed chairs are going to show up. I should probably Google so I know exactly who they all are in case I spot them there. And we'll see if I run into any good conversations. All right, without any further ado, let's go to the charts. I do need to take time off so I can properly write articles about the whole Ukraine situation. I can properly consider starting a political channel on Rumble and completely alter everything I'm doing in the world of Bitcoin. I haven't talked much about it, mostly because I don't make any money, guys. And if I don't make any money, I'm gonna have to do what I actually, like and enjoy, and what I feel is most important than what people want to hear. Like if I'm not making money anyway, might as well. This is the reason why there's no more news shows. There's no more law shows. I used to enjoy those shows a lot. The law show, the news show with Jimmy Song and Mechanic. I used to really enjoy doing that with Leah Wald back in the day, Giacomo. I used to really enjoy that stuff, and that stuff never made me any money, but it gave me more popularity. And then the trading education stuff made money. But now my trading education stuff doesn't make me any money. And I don't have a passion to cover Bitcoin news. There's nothing going on. I'm sorry. None of it is interesting to me anymore. And the only thing that's actually interesting to me is saving the world from Marxism and doing my best to educate people how to avoid World War III. So if I'm not going to make any money anyway, I might as well do something that I feel I'm more passionate about, and I have more of a drive to do. So there's going to be massive changes on this YouTube channel. The price stuff will probably remain because I am trying to see if the financial summits will have a future. So hopefully we can sell this one out, and then I'll maintain my videos about the price of Bitcoin. But we'll see how the financial summit does. The one in Dubai went incredibly well, so it gives me kind of hope to keep this going. All right, let's talk price real quick, and then we're going to move on to politics as usual. The weekly chart is looking very strong. Today is already Friday, so now there's a high probability of that this candle will end bullish, and the start to the next candle is bullish. Now, the weekly chart still has a long way to go to reach any kind of critical breakout area. For me, the critical breakout area is right here at $51,000 on a weekly scale. But once we break this 50-period moving average, that's going to go a long way towards this massive breakout. And I would still love to see Bitcoin hit 100,000 by end of this year. That would be great. I think there's a high chance of it doing that. The Consensio chart. So this thing looked very different a few hours ago. So we can see it on a lower level time frame. Like last night when I was going to bed, we were sitting at literally right near the bottom of this at like $40,300. And it was all looking like, man, this thing is ready to go down. Now you can see the moving averages with current price. You can see how the short-term moving average is still below the intermediate term moving average. But as this candle comes to an end, we know that the next candle will begin with the short-term moving average above the intermediate term moving average, and the price is going to be above both. So once again, I am going to wait a few more hours. I want this candle to be on the back end of this candle. in order to reverse my position to a bullish position. We are using the consensio. And right now, the price is above two of the moving averages. But both of those moving averages are declining as of current candle. And both of those moving averages are below the intermediate term moving average. They are in sequence for a bearish market. Now, the fact that the price is above both of them is the only bullish sign we have. And the price right now is moving ridiculously quickly. But as you guys know, I don't FOMO and I don't chase. So I will stay patient and I will wait. But expect this video tomorrow morning. Actually, there may not be a video tomorrow morning. I got some long flights tomorrow to some other undisclosed locations before I head back to South America. So I don't know what time the video tomorrow is going to be, but it should be around this time. I should be free around this time. 24 hours is enough for me to get to where I'm going next. But I'm going to stay patient right now. I'm not going to make any rash decisions because a few hours ago, this looked very, very different. Also, I have a line in the sand that is right here. I want to see a new higher close. Ideally, I want to see a new higher close to break us out of the consolidation range. Remember, the consolidation range is at $44,500. Once this breaks, that's it. The bull market is on, even though the weekly chart will need a little more time to reflect that. But right now, this second, I believe patience is needed. And I'm going to stay patient. And I want these moving averages to prove it to me. They have flip-flopped me enough that I now need them to prove it to me once again. We posted all the videos and the video for the scammies, the individual. Here we go. Conference day 1, conference day 2, Scammy Awards. So here are the 3 videos. People keep asking me about the Bitcoin wine. It's right here. I don't have a link for the tequila yet. Maybe we'll put the link to the tequila up. I talked about them a few days ago. That's the wine. That's what happens when you click on that. The financial summit. We are getting people signing up for this. So this is awesome. I still plan to hold this financial summit. We are not canceling. Hopefully, there's no World War III by then. And one of the reasons why Dominican Republic was chosen was because there were direct flights from Moscow to the Dominican Republic. It's a very popular destination for Russia. But now, based on the military action that's going on, the Russia market is non-existent. Everything's been canceled. And yeah, so again, this could jeopardize a lot of businesses. So businesses have to evolve. It's the only way. I mean, at the end of the day, people have to pay their bills somehow. But this event will go on in the Dominican Republic. The hotel bill has been paid. So, well, the castle bill has been paid. So hopefully people will come and talk finance for 5 days, even though I understand that there are way more important things in the world. Daily chart. Daily chart is looking very bullish. We had a green star candle, broke us out above the middle of the range. We are now above the 50-period moving average. We are rising right here. But as I've stated many, many times, we've been here before. We've been here once, not counting that. We've been at 44,000 once, twice, 3 times, and have not broken out. We've been at 37,000. Again, not going to count this one. Once, twice, 3 times, almost 4 times, and did not break down. So until the price breaks out, I am not calling for $100,000 until I see the price break out above 44.5. As long as it's in this consolidated range, that's all it is. It's a consolidated range, no matter how bullish you may feel. Okay. This is what happened in the last 8 hours. Let's go to the hourly chart and see where the market turned. So right here is 7 a.m. New York time, which was middle of the night for me in Utah. Right here is right there is 9 p.m. Sorry. Yeah, 9 p.m. New York time. So that was 7 p.m. in Utah. That's where I was. And so this is when I was kind of tired. It's been a long week. So I was going to bed like this last time I looked at the price. I didn't go to bed at this early. I went to bed later, but I wasn't looking at the price. So when I was going to bed, we were about to break 40,000. We did almost break 40,000, went all the way to 40,150. Just what, 6 hours ago? 1, 2, 3, 4. Not even 5 hours. 5 hours ago. 5 hours ago. And now we're rallying and we're right at the top. So you guys know what my view is. A break of prior swing high is a very bullish sign. I draw a line touching the max number of candles without breaking any of their bodies. We are breaking it, but I don't like breaking it after creating new lows. Had we not gone below this low, which we did once and twice, this would have had a lot more momentum. But we are breaking this line off the low. So the momentum is very likely to end. So sometime very, very soon, we are going to probably pull back. But if we only pull back to the area of the breakout, we can then break out more. And once we break out more, now we're challenging the daily chart. Top of the range is going to be hard because now you have the 128-day moving average acting as resistance at 44,500. And then the 4-day chart is going to run into its moving average, 30 period, at 43,000. So there's lots of resistance there. I mean, it's not enough to keep the short position going for that long. But right now, I'm going to stay patient. I'm still waiting for certain metrics to be met on the bullish side. GBC premium will be getting smaller every time market rises. And when it eventually breaks out, I expect this GBC premium to evaporate. Oil is going back up as expected. I am expecting the price of oil to rise. I'm expecting the price of almost all commodities to rise. Same thing with gold. S&P 500 remains bullish. I've made the argument as to why the S&P 500 could be bullish in wartime environment. We are coming off a weekly MRI buy, so there was certainly reason to buy the S&P 500 and even Bitcoin right here, because we know how correlated Bitcoin is to the S&P 500. This was very known. Everyone on this channel knew that there was a high probability of a reversal in the S&P 500 on the weekly MRI buy. And I don't want to get into stocks today. So that's it. All right, guys, this ends the financial portion of the show. It took longer than I expected. It took me almost 15 minutes, but that part's over. Hold on. So now we can talk other stuff. If you have not watched this video, I cannot save you from being brainwashed by the mainstream media. The only people that could be saved by being brainwashed by the mainstream media and social media and everything that's going on around them is to watch this video, The Killing of the Mind. I think it'll be the best video this decade that I will see. I don't know if it's possible for me to watch something better than this video, not even a Joe Rogan episode. This is probably the most important video of the rest of your lifetime to understand what is going on in this video. Okay. Now, I don't know how well this video is gonna de-brainwash people, but those that watch this video and are not susceptible to brainwashing by social media and mainstream media, you will just have your jaw will be dropped the entire time. I added this video back into my video description. I don't think this video will ever leave my video descriptions. You can catch all of Academy of Ideas videos on YouTube, but I really like the animation in this after school Rumble video. Rumble has a lot less censorship than YouTube. So many videos on YouTube get censored. And when a video on YouTube gets censored, you can assume with 95% certainty there was truth in that video. 5%, there's something very, very bad with that video. Like, I don't know, like something horrific that doesn't belong to view by the general public. But 95% of the videos that are removed from YouTube are because there is truth in them, not because there are lies in them. And this video helps explain why that is. Okay, so it's an absolute must video to watch. If you're still paying attention to COVID and you haven't seen these Senate hearings, that's another must watch. Do I have any other videos here? Oh, like I do every morning and every evening, I look at what's going on in Ukraine on live cameras. I know there are other live cameras. I just have this one on. I just want to make sure, there are people still walking around. And if there are, if anything's on fire, hopefully I'll see it in one of these 4 videos. That looks like Odessa. Odessa is way more likely to be taken over by Russia before Kiev is for strategic reasons. And also there's way more Russians in Odessa. So that's what I do. Okay, so here they are. I never even released this video. This is probably one of the best 5-minute interviews or snippets of an interview. This is Novak Djokovic explaining why he would rather never play tennis again than to take the vaccine. And personally, I was a big Rafael Nadal fan, and I did not like Djokovic. I was not a Djokovic fan. I was impartial to Federer, but I was a big Nadal fan. I used to hate the fact that Djokovic was creeping up on the total titles. For me, Novak Djokovic is now my favorite athlete. Current favorite athlete for me is Novak Djokovic. And in my top 5 or 10, definitely 10, maybe my favorite 5 athletes of all time. Because to me, what Novak Djokovic said in this interview, to me, everyone is different, right? Everyone is different. To me, what Novak Djokovic did in this interview is as courageous as what Muhammad Ali did by not going to Vietnam to fight. But Ali was, of course, arrested for it and put in prison. Novak Djokovic hasn't, but in a way, it's surprising that he hasn't. If he, maybe it's because he's serving. So to me, Novak Djokovic is one of the most courageous athletes and is in my top 10 all-time favorite athletes of all time. And this is coming from someone who didn't like Djokovic before the COVID stuff. Someone in the live chat is saying Novak owns a vaccine making company. I would highly doubt that. And I don't know where you got that information. I'm happy to be proven wrong. The COVID situation proved which people and which governments are tyrannical statists and which are not. And off of that lens, I have a different view of the world. In the last 24 hours, everyone is retweeting and sending, not everyone, but people are sending me the Arnold Schwarzenegger 10-minute clip of him talking about Russia and Ukraine for 10 minutes. Everyone wants me to watch it. I did not watch it. I don't care what Arnold has to say. In the live chat, please tell me why I don't care what Arnold has to say, ever. For as long as Arnold lives, I don't care what he has to say, because of something he said 1 year ago. He said 3 magic words. And I would love to see the live chat quote Arnold's 3 magic words. I'll wait. I know, there's a little bit of a delay. What were the 3 magic words that Arnold said 1 year ago? Not those. He didn't say that 3 years ago. I'll be back. I think it was a while ago. Screw your freedom. That is correct. That is exactly what Arnold said. 1 year ago, he publicly, and I quote, screw your freedom. So anything Arnold says going forward, I don't want to listen to it, and is probably statist bullshit propaganda. That's it. Arnold showed his true colors 1 year ago. Academy of Ideas, just an incredible YouTube channel. I don't know when I'm going to find the time to watch them all, but I need to find the time to watch them all. I don't know when I'll find it. Wow. I had no idea it went back that far. Wow. 9 years. 9 years of videos. I'm watching this on my flight. I know I'm like 2 weeks behind on it. I can't believe how late I got to this channel. Absolutely incredible. Okay. It's hard for me to say what I really think about Ukraine and Russia and the whole situation, because the majority of my Russian-speaking friends are actually Ukrainian, not Russian. The majority of time I've spent in the Russian-speaking world, or countries where people still somewhat speak Russian, is Ukraine. We're talking countries like Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. I actually haven't been to Uzbekistan. Georgia. Very little Russian is spoken there these days. Ukraine, Belarus. Haven't been to Belarus. That's pretty much most of them. I haven't been to Moldova. But like 80% of all my time that's been spent in the Russian-speaking world is in Ukraine. The majority of friends I have in the Russian-speaking world are Ukrainian. There's way more Ukrainians in the West than Russians. At least it feels that way. So it's very, very challenging for me to say my views on the situation, because people are getting very, very angry. Cliff High breaks down Vladimir Putin is a religious cultist, and this operation was in the works forever. I'm not sure which side of this Cliff High is on. Like I don't know what side of the current situation like people are on. Like I don't pay attention to other people necessarily. I try to sift through the bullshit and through the media propaganda, and I try to give you guys the best links I can. So where's my video? Hold on. This is the number. This is the top video I have linked. Oh, here it is. Okay. So here's yesterday's video. I've added a link today, so there's one extra link here. They're not being like added in order, but these are really good videos. I put them near the top. The most important video to watch, if you only watch one video, watch this 2015 video from the professor explaining how Ukraine's going to get wrecked. And it happened exactly like that. Then these views, it's one of them is from Colonel.
Scott Ritter, thank you.
Oh, this is Scott Ritter. Okay, that was a really good interview with Scott Ritter. He explains it. He explains what's going on. I'm going to mute these. And this is, I think this is Colonel McGregor. Yeah, Colonel Douglas McGregor. And here is, I think, one of the military guy from India who also explains in a similar way to the other two what is going on from an India perspective. Now, India is trying to stay as neutral as possible. India is trying not to pick sides because they do a lot of business with Russia. And they bring on, this guy was very charismatic. Where is he? Explaining what's going on. And if you want a perspective of what's going on from someone in Ukraine, it's Coach Red Pill or Gonzo Lira. So he started a new channel. So this was the first video that he did that caught my attention. And he's doing almost daily updates on his channel. So if you click on his channel and you look at his latest video, on my plane, I watched this and this. I would like to talk to this guy. So I actually disagree with him on a couple of things. So I watched this video on my plane, why sanctions will hurt the West, not Russia. And in that video, I disagree with him on two things. I disagree with him. I don't think he recognizes the importance of cryptocurrency. That's one. And two, he thinks that the US dollar is going to go into hyperinflation because of the sanctions. And I disagree with him on that. Inflation will rise, but I don't believe the US dollar is going to hit hyperinflation. So that's the part that he doesn't recognize. And this is where Martin Armstrong explains it really well, where Martin Armstrong says, if this crisis continues to escalate, people around the world still see the US as a safe haven for money. So the amount of global capital flows that will flow into US will prevent the US dollar from going into hyperinflation. Regular inflation will still occur due to supply chain issues and these ridiculous sanctions on Russia. They will hurt the West. Absolutely, they will hurt the West. They're going to hurt Russia too, but they're going to equally hurt the West. But they're not going to hurt the West to the point of US dollar hyperinflating. So I disagree with him there. Like, I don't agree with people on everything. I disagree with Martin Armstrong on a lot of shit. But I also learned a lot from reading his blog. And just watched this video this morning of him explaining how Russia is not losing and they're actually winning. So you may want to watch that. I mean, the mainstream media is the amount of lying that goes on in the mainstream media or what's going on is unreal, absolutely unreal. Oh yeah, no, he does think he knows he does think he knows everything, right? Same thing with Martin Armstrong. Hey, I probably think I know everything as well. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he's wrong on everything he says, right? Just because you think you know everything doesn't mean that you're wrong on 60% of the stuff. I mean, Cliff High thinks he's right on everything, and in reality, it's more like 25%. Hyperinflation on the US dollar will not happen until Americans and the rest of the world lose faith in the US dollar. That's it. That's when hyperinflation is going to occur. The biggest factor in creating hyperinflation in the United States. There's two. One, China or Russia, captures Air Force One with the president on it. That would cause the dollar to hyperinflate. Unlikely in a world of nuclear arsenals. The other cause for hyperinflation of the US dollar will be the United States losing a major military conflict against Russia or China. I mean, there's nobody else, right? Also, somewhat unlikely because of the nuclear arsenal. We all die before that happens. So the most likely cause of the US dollar hyperinflating is the breakup of the United States into multiple countries. That is the most likely cause of US hyperinflation. COVID media ended all of a sudden. Well, not really. I mean, they're still pushing for an 18th vaccine dose. When do you think people will lose trust in the USA? Surely Brandon has done a good job to get this process started. Oh yeah, 100%. And it's contributing to the inflation. It's contributing to the inflation. The day after the election, when I went to bed on November 4th or 3rd, whenever that election was, when we were live streaming the election, and I went to bed, Trump was going to win with a ridiculous majority. And then I woke up in the morning and like 8 states that were where Trump was winning at like 1 in the morning on the following day after voting, 8 states where Trump was winning. I wake up 6 hours later and Trump lost 8 of those states. That's when confidence in American politics was lost, that day. And whether you believe or don't believe the election was rigged or not rigged, it doesn't, your opinion on the matter doesn't matter. My opinion on that matter doesn't matter. Like, my opinion on the 2020 election. It's irrelevant to you. Your opinion on the election is irrelevant to me. The point is that there is a large percentage of the American population that no longer has faith in American elections. And that is the biggest nail in the coffin of the US dollar. That is what's going to break up America. The fact that people never really had faith and trust in government, but that just went exponentially bad. What Putin fake news am I pushing? Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me what fake Putin news I'm pushing. I'm dying to know. I'm really dying to know. Losing the war in Afghanistan is a direct result of the US election. Because the US election is not respected by a large portion of the American public and a larger portion of the world public, the respect for the US military is gone. It is gone. Afghanistan proved it. I said this long before the Afghanistan disaster, that due to the election results and what the world thinks of America due to the election, the respect for the United States military will be gone. Gone. No one wants to admit that Russian military is equal to American military. Nobody wants to admit that. They have their, head in the sand, not believing that the Russian military can actually put up a legitimate fight against the United States military. And that is going to be the downfall of the US because people believe the bullshit that the Russian military is incapable of facing off against the US military. In the same context, no one wants to believe that the Chinese economy is on par with the US economy. No one wants to admit that the Chinese are America's economic equal, while Russia is United States military equal. And the dumbest decision in the last 50 years of American politics is to demonize and pick a war with Russia. Because when, not if, Russia aligns with China, they are now a combined military equal, if not superior, to the United States military, while at the same time being an economic equal, if not superior, to the United States economy. And that is what Americans and their Donnie Kruger effect are not realizing. And this is why America is in serious freaking trouble. Not to mention the internal problems of Democrats versus Republicans, vaccinated versus unvaccinated. And I'm still on record as saying US is going to be multiple countries by the time this decade's over. Right, but you're comparing a Chinese company to a US company, right? What you are not seeing is that Africa, the continent of Africa, is going to be using Chinese tech, not American. The continent with the youngest population, with the highest birth rate, is going to be on Chinese tech, not American. We'll see where India falls in all of this. India is going to end up making peace with China, and I think they're all going to combine. That's just my opinion. I don't even want to get into Hunter Biden. Like, why is this news now? This should have been news 3-4 years ago. I'm going to write up. It's time to do another blog post because it's. I'll do the blog post with all my links on Ukraine and Russia. Right. In the last few years, recently, in America's recent history, America can potentially justify the war in Afghanistan. I don't justify it. I don't think the United States should have gone into Afghanistan. But, for that war, Afghanistan was blamed for 9/11. I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theories there. But, okay, why am I still on this? I should be on this. But the war in Iraq, the war in Libya, and the war in Syria America was wrong. These wars should have never happened, right? And I didn't see anyone sticking a Iraq flag, sticking a Syrian flag, sticking a Libyan flag, protesting Americans killing civilians in all those places. Okay, so The hypocrisy is real, to say the least. Hold on, I gotta permanently ban someone. Moderators are a little slow. You may be right about the US dividing, but they will maintain one military power. I know I disagree with this. And it's kind of bad for the world, right? Look, it's bad for the world. If the United States takes out Russia, and then the United States combines to take out China, I don't see that as good for the world. I don't. The opposite is also true. If the United States breaks up and China and Russia join together, you better hope that China and Russia aren't great friends. Because if one of those countries takes over, that's also not good, right? Remember, if the US defeats Russia and China, your world will be the Klaus Schwab, the fourth industrial revolution. You will own nothing. You will be happy. The US is pushing, not Americans, not American people. It's really, this stuff is really hard to explain. Here is my difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. Trump is different. Trump is neither a Democrat or a Republican. You think of Trump as an independent third party. Think of Trump more like a Gary Johnson and a Ron Paul on that spectrum, like not a traditional Republican. He's not on that spectrum. Now, Trump is nothing like Ron Paul, but they are of the same mindset that they are not really a Republican or a Democrat. They're a lot more free thinkers, and they're not gonna let the party tell them what to do. Okay. So the main difference between the Republicans and Democrats, right? So both Republicans and Democrats look out for their own personal interests first. That's not a secret. With someone like Ron Paul, with someone like Gary Johnson, who I did vote for in that election, with someone like Trump, I felt that when Trump was president, he was not looking out for his personal interests first. He was putting American people first, whether you agreed with him or not. If Ron Paul's president, I believe that he would put the American people's interests first. When you have Democrats or Republicans in office, whether it's the Bush family, whether it's Reagan as well, I thought Reagan put people first. Doesn't mean he made good decisions, but Reagan put people first because he wasn't a traditional Republican. A traditional Republican like the Bush family, like Mitt Romney, I don't know if he's a Democrat or Republican anymore. I have no idea. Like, it doesn't matter whether the Democrat or Republican. It's the same. It's politics. Whether it's McCain, all those guys, and whether it's the Democrats, the Obamas, the Clintons, the Bidens, they put themselves and their friends and family first. Now, here's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Most Republicans, after they put their own friends and family first, would put Americans second. That's why they believe in the Constitution a little bit more. And then third, they put this socialist, communist, World Economic Forum agenda. When it comes to the Democrats, they put the communist World Economic Forum agenda second and the people third. And that is why I am against Marxism and the Democrats. I understand that an elected official is very likely to put his friends and family first and give them sweet deals, right? This is how all the children of, Biden's kid and Pelosi's kid and Romney's kid and Kerry's kid, they're all working for Ukrainian oil companies, right? They're putting themselves first. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, doesn't matter, right? These people they look after themselves. But I'd rather have one that puts the people second and the global communist agenda third. But the Democrats put the communist global agenda second. And that's the problem. Now, when it comes to Russia, right? Think of Russia like those Republicans. You can look at Putin as evil. You can look at all the Russian oligarchs as evil, right? They put themselves first, just like the American Republicans. But they're putting the Russian people second and the globalist communist agenda third. That's the difference between, it doesn't matter whether your leader is democratically elected or not. That doesn't matter. Okay? What matters is, what is that leader doing? And the Democratic Party of the United States, democratically elected, if you believe the election results, puts the global Marxist World Economic Forum agenda ahead of the American people, while Putin is putting the agenda of his people, the Russian people, ahead of the World Economic Forum's agenda. Now, it doesn't mean that these decisions are good or just. In the case of Putin, that decision led to the military confrontation of Ukraine. But if you don't understand the dynamic in it, right? Because the agenda of the Ukrainian leadership, the Zelensky leadership, was, of course, to put his own friends and family first, just like 99.9% of all politicians. But his second agenda was for the World Economic Forum and the globalist Marxist way. And you saw my tweet yesterday where Ukraine is going to be one of the, I don't know how they're going to pull it off considering there's a military conflict. But they want to have, the COVID pass and the digital ID and the you own nothing and happy world. I mean, like, Zelensky is Klaus Schwab's minion of the World Economic Forum's young global leader. Now, the job of Zelensky is to convince the Ukrainian people that you will own nothing and be happy is good for them. And he has done a very good job of that. A very good job of that. Okay, so that's the main difference. And just people don't see these differences between who is actually, running the country and what their motivations are. Don't blame the Democrat politicians, blame the Democrats who vote for them. I don't blame anyone. I'm just trying to explain the situation. I don't care what RT. I mean, like, I can't watch RT. It's been banned. Not that I was watching it. But the banning of RT is censorship. And like I said, 95% of censorship by the West is because there's truth in it, not because there are lies in it. I'm just reviewing your live chat on my rant. Most of Europe is fully on board with the world economics agenda. Again, most European politicians are putting themselves and their friends first, the World Economic Forum's agenda of Marxism second, and the people of their nation third. In the case of Europe, it's a distant third. Oligarchs are just billionaires. Yeah, pretty much. This word oligarch it's just a made up word, right? Like any friend or relative of a U.S. politician is also an oligarch. Like there's not much difference. You know, Hunter Biden's an oligarch. Made all his money because his dad's in politics. China censors media, journalists, frees bank accounts of peaceful citizens. Now the West does the same. Agreed. Agreed. They all do it. They all do it. U.S. is still a safe haven. Sort of a safe haven. You're right. The U.S. is starting to lose its safe haven status by confiscating, private property of Russians. So why would the Chinese put their money in the United States if they know that what the U.S. just did to Russia, they can do to the Chinese? So this is how the U.S. dollar collapses, when no one is trusting the U.S. with their money. Saudi Arabia is about to start accepting the yuan for oil. The United States is not going to war with Saudi Arabia. That's not going to happen. Guys, I didn't want to do this on this video, but hold on. Where is... I had this map, this clickable world map. Here it is. Right now, Russia is fighting, well, basically Russia's fighting against the world right now. This is, I know everyone thinks I have a biased opinion towards Russia. I'm just trying to explain to you how things are. The West has an enormous propaganda machine. It is 10 times greater than Russia's propaganda machine. The West of the propaganda machine of the West is 10 times bigger. 90 to 95% of everything coming out of Ukraine, and I'm going to quote Douglas McGregor, the colonel. Almost everything that comes out of Ukraine is debunked as lies within 24 to 48 hours. Okay. People just read the headlines, they don't dig in. It's like the COVID stuff, right? It's lies that they perpetuate. All right. So right now, Russia
I believe, in my opinion, I believe Russia's winning. Contrary to what the West says, that Russia's losing, I believe Russia's winning. Are the sanctions hurting Russia? Yes. But I believe that Russia's winning. I'm not rooting for anyone, right? I can root for Ukraine all I want. It doesn't like it's again. Now I'm gonna quote Gonzo Lear, where he says, if I'm watching a football game and I'm not playing, I'm watching a football game, and one team is beating the other team, I'm gonna say that they're winning. Okay, so there is a higher than 50% probability that Russia is going to control Ukraine. What America is doing is the American propaganda machine is trying to convince the world that China is sanctioning Russia, which is so freaking dangerous because China is watching the American lies. And the propaganda machine of America is trying to convince the world that China is on the side of Ukraine and helping Ukraine, and China is going to fight Russia, which I don't believe is true. It can be true. I don't believe that that's true. Okay, I could be wrong. So I believe that China is about to start buying all of the commodities from Russia on the cheap as the price of commodities goes up. So China is going to be joining Russia. Now, Russia actually was just helping in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan and Mongolia are kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. Do you think these countries are going to be helping the US fight against Russia and China? No, their leaders aren't stupid. If there is a West versus East fight, economic, military, social, doesn't matter. Two more countries joining. Where do you think North Korea is going to go? They hate the United States. They're joining in. Okay. Now comes the big kahunas, right? These countries down here, Uzbekistan, I mean, they got no choice. They got no choice. Former Soviet republics, they're not going to have much of a choice. Now, India. India's got a tough choice. Look where India is located. India does a lot of business with Russia. Now, India is also watching the Americans and the SWIFT system and the Europeans confiscate confiscate the wealth of Russian citizens. By the way, Russia's not doing that, by the way. Putin announced that he will not confiscate private property of Americans or Westerners. The McDonald's that are empty, he's not taking them over. Okay. PM, why is Putin lying about his real reason for invading Ukraine? There's no genocide. Don't be ridiculous. Why don't you tell me what Putin's real reason for invading Ukraine is, right? Everyone is always telling me it's Russian propaganda, this, and this. No one is actually answering the question, right? Can anyone defeat Putin's nonsensical excuses? What are those? Why is he invading Ukraine? Why? Explain it. Nobody does. Everyone is like, that is not the real reason. Okay, what is the real reason? Ghosts. Ghosts. Putin explained his reasons in a speech on February 24th. He laid them all out. Not even all of them, right? He didn't mention biolabs. He didn't mention the Crimea being cut off from fresh water. He didn't even mention those things. But he mentioned the big things, right? He mentioned NATO. He mentioned the Nazi aspect. And he mentioned Donbass. I got him out of water a little bit. NATO is reason number one. Donbass region is reason number two. His view to denazify Ukraine is number three. He laid his reasons out. And your comment, why is Putin lying about the real reason for the Ukraine invasion? Enlighten me, please. Please explain to me the real reason. Let's go with the map. Where do you think India is going to land? I think they're going to land with the East. Pakistan is being supported by the US more than India is. Pakistan can try and hold out. Iran, what do you think? See, so here's the interesting part, right? Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Well, Saudi Arabia is not exactly happy with the United States right now, right? They're having a big crisis in Yemen, and they're about to start making oil deals with China in yuan. Saudi Arabia has no problem with Russia, as far as I know. Okay, they're not fans of Israel very much, so they're probably going to side with the East. Now, I mean, you know, Venezuela is going to side with the East. They're not very happy with America. We'll see what happens in the other regions here. Do you see the problem here? Do you guys recognize? Do you guys see the hornet's nest that the World Economic Forum and the Biden administration and well, maybe I shouldn't blame the Biden administration too much for this, right? It's Obama and Trump didn't exactly help here either. Okay, do you see the hornet's nest that the West has unleashed by demonizing Russia? If they were allies with Russia, none of this would be happening. Now, if Saudi Arabia ends up in this, what's the word I'm looking for here? Alliance. I believe the UAE is also interested in this alliance because the UAE loves financial freedom. And what did the US just do? They just kicked Russia out of SWIFT and put in this, like, started confiscating wealth. The UAE built itself on financial freedom, and the US is cutting that off. Okay. The interesting part is going to be Iran. Iran, I can never say Iran. Iran is on very bad terms with Saudi Arabia, mostly over Yemen. But Iran is on good terms with Russia. And Saudi Arabia is going to be on good terms with China. They may have no choice but to come to an agreement here along with Yemen. Somehow, I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how to remove pain. I don't know how Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. I mean, Yemen doesn't really matter. No offense. A little bit. I mean, there's some oil there, but they don't matter to the global politics as much. And not that these countries matter all that much, but it's mostly the big kahunas, right? It's mostly these countries. Now, I believe Serbia is also on the side of Russia because they're not happy with America and all the bombing that they did during the breakup of Yugoslavia and all that and that other stuff in the region. Okay. Do you not see the problem here? People are saying, where do you think Mexico will stand? I don't know. I really don't know where Mexico is going to fall. Because Africa is going to side with China eventually. I mean, the US barely does anything in Africa. Most trade is happening between the whole continent of Africa and China. Australia and Canada are too busy turning communist. The only way this doesn't happen is if Russia loses. And I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how Russia loses. I don't know. I will say that in Putin's last speech, he did not look very healthy. He looked a lot healthier 3 weeks ago than he does now. And I saw the Twitter comments. Like maybe Putin had a stroke. Maybe Putin like suffered an assassination attempt, like poisoning. I don't know. That's all speculation. But Putin did not look well. I'll admit that. Here's another. Now, if you want to talk talking gibberish, where does Turkey fall? Turkey is a NATO nation. Turkey has the 4th strongest military in the world. Turkey also sees the direction of the World Economic Forum and the Marxist takeover of the West. They're seeing this. Turkey is not exactly a Western democracy, and yet they are in NATO. Do you really think Turkey wants to stay in NATO if this is an economic / military / political alliance? I think if any country if this does happen, again, Iran and Saudi Arabia, that's a big if. That's a big if. Okay. And these countries, I mean, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they have money. They have money. Will Turkey flip sides? If Turkey flips sides, that's an enormous blow to the West. Enormous blow to the West. Yeah, Turkey tourism depends on UAE tourism depends on Russia a lot. No one from America is moving to the UAE because of global taxation. Russians are. Europeans are. Those that want freedom from the you own nothing. See, the UAE isn't going after your money like the West is. Well, if the USA leaves NATO, there's no NATO. I mean, there is no NATO. Europe has no army, guys. That's it. Europe has no army. It's like what, 20 people? It's literally Turkey and America. Europe doesn't have a real standing army. The UK might. Yeah, US has the most hashing power, but like I said, I think the US will break up. And the hashing power is going to be in the on the right side of the US after it breaks up. Let's go take a look at the Russian currency. Let's see what it's doing. You're going to be able to tell a lot about the Russian currency. Just keep an eye on the ruble. If the ruble is not going into hyperinflation, that's a big problem for the United States. Big problem for the West. US and like I don't even want to say Europe anymore. World Economic Forum, that's Europe. Klaus Schwab is Europe. That's Europe. People in Europe just don't see it yet. They're seeing the utopia right before communism takes over. That's what they're seeing. FX, let's go look at ruble. All right, so the ruble was strengthening and it's now devaluing once again. But let's see. Let's see if this is a dead cat bounce and then it goes and then it strengthens again. If the ruble starts to strengthen, that's a serious blow to the West. A serious blow to the West. Oh, no, the US will break up because of internal civil war. The question is, will it be bloody or will it be peaceful? Oh, Syria. I forgot Syria in my map. Of course, I haven't read this yet. Someone sent it to me the other day. Everyone's saying it's a good article. I haven't read it. Where is my map? I thought that was the map. No, that's the map. Syria. Oh, yeah. I mean, if anything's left of Libya, they're, of course, going to join. Egypt has just been disrupted. If anything's left of Egypt, they're going to join. Okay, here's Syria right there. Syria will definitely join. Russia helped Syria. Syria will definitely join. So now who's left? Iraq? Well, you know, they don't like the US. Israel's going to be outnumbered a little bit, huh? All this peace between Israel and the UAE and the Arab world, all of that is about to end. All of that is about to end. All of this is because, like, if you want to know my opinion on the real trigger that caused the troops to enter Ukraine, Kamala Harris literally publicly stating that Ukraine will join NATO about a week or 10 days before the invasion. And I also believe Putin purposely waited until the end of the Olympics in China. He was not going to piss off China. Do you see the respect that Putin had for Chinese? He respected them enough not to do anything to Ukraine until after the Olympics were over. Because then the Chinese would have been really pissed at Russia had they invaded Ukraine, started the military operation in Ukraine during or prior to the Olympics. So they certainly respected, like unlike the US, Russia respects the Chinese. I mean, I think Mexico is one of the best places to be during this insanity, but I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? I wish the global warming hypothesis was correct. Then I would like move to Greenland, but I don't believe. But global warming is nonsense, and the planet is slowly getting cooler, not warmer. So there goes plans to move to Iceland, well, Iceland is just insane with the winds. So there goes plans to hide out in Greenland. It's only gonna get colder. This is the challenge. This is the challenge. Afghanistan. Well, Afghanistan is going to be Afghanistan. Oh, Azerbaijan is on good terms with Russia. Armenia is, I'm not sure where Armenia stands actually. Georgia's in trouble. My favorite country in the world, Georgia. They're in trouble. Poland's going to be in trouble. All right, guys, I gotta get going. No, Switzerland is on Team USA. Switzerland has no usefulness whatsoever. Switzerland people are fairly armed, and Switzerland is closer to a true democracy than most countries. But Switzerland gave up their ability to be neutral when they started seizing assets and ratting on people's bank accounts. So Switzerland is fully team World Economic Forum. Now remember, only the lifelong Republicans and like the the warmongering Republicans, which is the majority of Republicans, and all Democrats. So all Democrats and about half Republicans are on team World Economic Forum of you own nothing and be happy. And about a quarter of Republicans with 0 Democrats. And most independents, which tend to be Republicans because they align slightly better, are against team World Economic Forum of you own nothing and be happy. So hopefully those, this is why I think America is going to break up. I think you need to watch Turkey. I think Turkey is the biggest is the most important NATO country to watch. Nobody wants war. No, that is factually false. That is factually false. The neocons near the top of the US government really wanted this. They really wanted this. They've been begging for it for a decade. People don't want war. People that have jobs, that have families, people don't want war. Politicians? Oh, yeah. They were begging for this. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, like a real rabbit hole, look into the Leviathan field. Can I zoom this in? Right here, where the hand is the Leviathan gas field. Start researching about the Leviathan gas field. It was discovered about a little over 10 years ago, and all the countries around it had a claim to profit from that gas field. And one by one, every country around it, except Israel, of course. Sorry, that's Lebanon. Except Israel, of course. Oh yeah, Lebanon's been freaking crushed economically. Every country, like Jordan, doesn't have a claim to it because they're not on the coast. Libya had a claim. I think Libya had a claim. I'm not sure. Libya might be too far. Egypt sure did. Greece did. I'm not sure about Cyprus. That's a weird one. Syria sure as hell did. Lebanon did. Turkey does. Greece did. And one by one, as this is why, did you ever wonder why all of these, like Hunter Biden and all these other kids of politicians, were working for a Ukrainian oil company? Do you ever wonder why? Oil and gas company? It's because of this oil field. Because the gas from this oil field can supply gas to Europe bypassing Russia. Russia has its own pipeline bypassing Ukraine. So this whole conflict in Ukraine has a lot to do with who controls the gas to Europe. Right now, there is a Russian pipeline going through Ukraine into Europe. Russia said, you know what, screw you, Ukraine. We're tired of just paying you while you align with the World Economic Forum. We're going to build our own pipeline to bypass you. Now, to counter that, the West said, well, we have the Leviathan gas field. We're going to build our own pipeline through this area and through Ukraine, bypassing Russia. And the West has been destabilizing every country that has claims to profit from this gas field. Okay, I don't know if I can say any more before this channel gets banned, but start going down the rabbit hole of the Leviathan gas. That's the main reason why all of these people were in Ukraine, working for gas companies. Nothing they can do about Turkey. Again, not a democracy they can overthrow, like they did in Ukraine, and fourth biggest military in the world. So ain't nothing the US can do to Turkey yet. Trust me, they're trying to destroy their currency. But Syria's done, Egypt's done, Libya's done, Lebanon's done, Greece is done. That was in 2015. Cyprus, I'm not sure. I mean, Cyprus is blamed for laundering all the money. Like every single country here, except Israel, of course, is they still have Palestine on the map. Okay. Every single country except for Israel has been basically destabilized, except Turkey, in order to just have full control of that massive gas field. Go down that rabbit hole. It's really interesting. We're done for today. I need to get to my lunch with some fed people. All right. Talk to you all in the next one.